And a good Friday morning. Welcome to the month of August. TGIF. Caleb Henry from Husker Max sitting in for Matt. Do people still say TGIF?
TGIA. Thank God it's August.
Oh,
Ooh.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
I like this.
It's football month, baby.
It is.
Unless you're a preseason football game that nobody wanted to watch in July.
Yeah, so we love football, but you're right. Football starting in July seems a little peculiar. It's like we had a guy yesterday. I was listening to the show, and he had a football question, but he prefaced it by saying he was driving his kids to school on the 31st of July.
Was that just like a year-round school, or
Summer
are they?
school?
No, he followed up and he said, we have started school.
Oh, started.
That's a no.
I'm like,
That's going to be a no for me.
That's crazy.
I'd move back to the good life because that's what I would do. But we did have football last night. It is the month of August. We have made it. We've gotten all the way to the 8th month. We've made it through the summer. You got about 30 more days to hop in the pool and do all those summery things before stuff gets real around here. But as Caleb mentioned, we did have football last night. How long did you guys stick around? How long did you stay with the first football game of the year?
I got a series.
Okay.
I went, all right, it's on. I watched it. I went, yeah, that'll do it for me. That'll be it. I did catch the highlight portions though of getting the virtual measurement.
Yes.
Which, okay, you're saving what? A minute? Because they're not virtually spotting the ball.
No, that's the important thing about what was unveiled last night is there still are humans spotting the football.
Which is the biggest place for an error to happen on where you're trying to get a first down. The measuring, has anyone ever had a problem with the measuring other than the drama that comes with it?
There might be somebody that played in Kansas City not too long ago.
It's fine. They're fine.
I mean, people are very, very sad this morning over that. That the usually, now it's changed a little bit. You have to be a little bit more athletic to be on the chain gang because you got to move out of the way. But it used to be like old coaches and old athletic directors and just good old boys from the town would be out there holding the chains.
That's why I love like small town football, small town high school football.
If you were a country artist and you got a great country music name, you would write a song about small town country football. You and Chesney would be together.
We'd call it Chain Gang, and everyone would be like, oh, is this about, did someone go to prison? We're like, nah, we're just 3 dudes from the bar who are available for this 8-man football game.
But that's like, you're right. The beauty of going to like a high school football game or a youth Pop Warner game when they're just grabbing parents from out of the stands is it's usually like some town folk that are running the chains. Now, at Nebraska, I can tell you, it's pretty competitive to be on the chain gang. Like, once you're on there, you do not want to give it up. You do not let anybody know that you have a health ailment or anything. You got a bad hip, you got a bad knee, because you don't want to lose that spot. It's a great spot. You're right there by, a team on the sidelines. You're like right in the mix. It's great. But the same people that run the chain gang that also, run the scores table at men's and women's basketball, they never leave. They don't want to give those jobs up. But people in the NFL now have lost their jobs. Good job, Goodell. We're struggling in the country. There's more important things going on with the NFL. I understand with what happened in New York City. But no chain gang. I actually have advocated for this because I also want chips in the football, which I think would help with better spotting.
Aren't we seeing that with the spring football league, the USFL stuff? Yeah. I didn't watch any of it to see how it went, but it didn't sound like on social media there was some kind of large outcry.
No, it appeared to be okay.
Yeah.
But tennis has been doing it. It looks very similar to the tennis system, what has tennis had their replay system for, or what they do, their technology for about 10 years?
Yeah.
And now we finally got that in the NFL?
Tennis has had theirs for a while. We started to see when you just got those professional volleyball leagues started up.
Yes.
Remember, we started to see all of that with their sidelines, and it was like, wow, this moves quick. Mm-hmm. You're taking a lot of the human judgment and the naked eye, and it's like, you can go back and try to catch some of that, but the matches move quicker and you're getting more accurate calls. Why are we not doing this with some of our biggest sports in America, with football, with some of the baseball stuff, like that? You're starting to get more of the ABS in baseball, but there are a lot of places that this technology can be used and make the games better, and not just to go, hey, can we get rid of this thing? I didn't think it was that inefficient of a system to measure a ball for a first down when that wasn't the inefficiency within the process.
I wish you would have been sitting in last year during the playoffs. That would have been great. You would have been able to shoot down everybody. Can you imagine, though, if we were doing, and I know football has begun, I stuck around a little bit longer. I think I was middle of the second quarter and then started to watch something else. And then I would drift back in. I would see something on social media and I would come back and watch. But football is underway. Football is in camp. Big Ten Network is in Lincoln today.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine if we were in Detroit doing this show this morning, if we were on 97.1 The Fan, and you had to do a show after the Lions get beat in the first preseason game 34-7? You don't want to talk about it. You're like, you know what? Who played in that game? The people that would overreact, like Chris Collinsworth last night, wanted to make a case that this is going to be a discussion point about losing 34-7 in a preseason game for the Lions. And I thought, we are so back. This is what football is. We are back.
I would think about the conversation you and I had on Tuesday, prefacing everything with, we've seen one day of camp. They have done one day of camp. If we were in Detroit, first of all, this is one game, and it was played in July, and it was played with a bunch of dudes who won't be on the roster by the end of the month.
Yes.
Okay?
Now, the one takeaway I would have for Detroit is last night made me appreciate backup quarterbacks. If you have a backup quarterback, hug them, put them in a bubble, pay them some good money, because Detroit may need to find a backup to Jared Goff. Mm-hmm. But here's what I would say if I was in Detroit today doing the show. The winner of the Hall of Fame game is 0-8 in the playoffs since 2022.
There you go.
I love that, because the Chargers, on the other side of it, the people will go, well, look at Trey Lance. I mean, there were a lot of glazing on Trey Lance last night. Look at the Chargers, no doubt. This is the year they're going to win the AFC West. But what also does it say about the kickoff to the 25 football season? That the first play was the first notable play was a doink on a field goal attempt.
Doink. That is what tells me we are back.
Yes.
That is when you know we are back.
Yes.
It's not any of the other things. It's like, oh, this is kind of nice. Oh, you played in July? That's interesting. That becomes a fun party fact when you're talking about, like, hey, have you ever watched an NFL game in July? Actually, yes. Preseason game 2025. No, the doink says we are back.
Also, Ted says in the Equitable Bank inbox, if you are watching a preseason football game and it's bad football, are you allowed to complain? He goes, I say no. And I say, I agree with you. You know that it's going to be bad football and you just watch. It's the appetizer. You just watch it because football was on last night. You got to see Brent Musberger. You got to see all the Hall of Famers. You got to hear Jared Allen talk about mullets. I'm so glad that it's back. And now it is full steam ahead, because before the month is over, we will have the beginning of football around here. And, of course, the incredible opening weekend of the college football season. We'll talk plenty about football stuff that happened in Lincoln, as I mentioned. Big Ten Network is in Lincoln today. 7 o'clock, they air their show, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And if you miss it at 7, it will probably air 14, 15 different times before they go to, are they in Minnesota tomorrow? Is it Minnesota their next stop?
Don't worry, you'll be able to catch it a few times, because they just replay everything on there,
which they should.
Yeah, I think they're, like, right now for sure, but I think there's also times when you get into the season, Minnesota tomorrow. There's also times you get into the year and it's like there's actual there's Big Ten volleyball matches on tonight. What are you doing? We're going to play this game from 2013. Just going to replay it because it's a Big Ten classic. It's like, or you have a network and you're the best conference in the country at something. Maybe not put it on your Big Ten Plus streaming that's garbage at half the schools.
Why do you think? Because I saw Rev's his tweet. This is their 19th. This is his 19th trip. So the Big Ten Network debuted in 2007. With their first game was the banger of the Appalachian State upsetting Michigan,
which is amazing. That is amazing. That was the first game, and you didn't even have Big Ten everywhere because they were trying to negotiate with all of these places, and people were pissed.
Yeah, why do you think? And it's I don't know. This is my observation. The last couple of years, outside of our angst around here about them not caring enough baseball or paying attention to baseball,
Yes.
seems like the Big Ten Network catches a lot of strays.
Well,
from viewers, not from SEC people, but from like Big Ten footprint, and particularly in this area.
Because I think people want, well, especially in this area, because you have sports that you want to tune into.
Mm-hmm.
Volleyball and baseball and softball being kind of at the top of that list of the ones that aren't televised as much as they should. Now, volleyball is getting a lot of matches this year. Nebraska volleyball is getting 20-some matches televised, which is like you're starting to get more than half the schedule, and that's good. But the Big Ten Plus production is so bad at some places, and especially around here, we're spoiled with what we watch come out of Lincoln.
Mm-hmm.
And then you watch a baseball game at Indiana, and it's like some parent has an iPad taped to the backstop. I was hopeful when Tony Petitti came in from Major MLB. He had Major League Baseball background, MLB Network background, that there was going to be some kind of emphasis on the streaming portion of it. And there just hasn't been. And since you've got BTN, you don't have a BTN 2, and you just like to play replays, it'd be nice if you could get the streaming to where it is something that feels like you're getting value for what you're paying.
Mm-hmm. That's Caleb Henry from Husker Mac sitting in for Matt, who will be back next week off of vacation. Peter is in for Jimmy, who is still away on paternity leave. I'm still Gary. And it's great today because you get to see our beautiful faces for at least part of the morning.
For just
we're gonna give you 3 hours of our ugly mugs. You're staring at it on 1620 The Zone.
3 hours, and that's it.
And then the shirts come off
after 9 o'clock.
I don't know. Would it be inappropriate to do this show if we were on a remote and it was hot outside, shirtless, if you had the body?
You didn't even need to add the qualifier if you had the body. I would have said yes before you even got to that.
Maybe we'll test that theory.
You know what? Yeah, when we are
later on.
So a little bit, just a heads up, and we're glad to be back on 1620 The Zone TV, and thanks to Steve and Nick, who worked tirelessly to get us back on yesterday. Yes. We still have a little bit of an update. So in the last hour, we may disappear for a bit, but thank you to everybody that trudged through it yesterday on 1620 The Zone TV and is back in our wonderful YouTube community. So you get to stare at us for a while. Coming up later on the show, Mike Schaefer will stop by. I know he was in yesterday, but he's got some thoughts on things he heard and saw yesterday. So he'll join us in the last hour. Also, Matt Verzal will make his weekly appearance right here on Gary and Matt. That's the lineup brought to you by the Rooferys at John Higgins Weather Guard. You can always join the conversation at any point, whatever you'd like to talk about. 402-951-1620. That is the Prairie Flower Zone Casino or the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. 402-951-1620. Trade deadline guy or not trade deadline guy when it comes to Major League Baseball?
If my team is in contention, trade deadline guy.
Who is your team?
If my team has been hot garbage.
Wait a minute. You're a Cardinal fan, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like this was a more interesting deadline than usual.
No. You think there were, 35 deals done yesterday?
I didn't realize when I went to my first game at Target Field on Monday that I was going to the funeral of the Minnesota Twins.
Did you realize that Carlos Correa was going to get traded for a minor leaguer with a 7.6 ERA?
Nope. I was seeing all the light shows and intros for these bullpen guys. I was like, oh, wow, they go all out here.
Yeah, you have to go to Philadelphia now to see that light show after Duran got traded to Philadelphia.
Griffin Jacks looks good. He's gone now, along with the entire rest of the team.
He gone. I think if you were a diehard baseball fan, you loved yesterday. Now, my particular team, I was always waiting for more. I hope yesterday does not come back to haunt the Cubs in adding a starting pitcher, and they don't try and shove down our throats as Cub fans that Taillon and Assad are going to be the two pickups with starting pitching. They did a couple of things. I'm like, okay, the roster is a little bit better, but it's not over the top, and I would like to win the World Series. I think if you were a baseball fan, you loved yesterday because there was a lot of fringe players that were traded that if you follow the game, you recognize the names. But if you're just a cash, outside of Suarez and Correa, there really was nobody they went, whoa, but it was wild. It was almost like National Letter of Intent signing day. Remember we used to have that in February? And the craziness that would happen on that Wednesday with flips and
the reason in December we call it early signing day.
Yes. But it used that was what signing day used to be, one national signing day for college football in February. And that Wednesday, from sunup to sundown, there would be twists and turns and craziness. And you thought one guy was going here and he ends up there. That's kind of what yesterday was.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of enjoyed it, even though my team never got a starting pitcher. Nice job, Jet. But it also reiterated the point as I was watching it is Major League Baseball does need ESPN. Now, ESPN had a wall-to-wall show, and they had a really, really good cast of crew led by Passon, who was breaking stories. Then MLB Network was on. But if you don't have ESPN on trade deadline day and you have something like that yesterday, like is Fox carrying a show?
No.
But like ESPN is the perfect place for that because I think the diehards were on MLB Network. The casual / diehards were hanging out on ESPN. Just reiterated to me that maybe Major League Baseball needs to find something to continue to have ESPN, especially for days like yesterday, which I've never seen before.
And those are the days that bring in the casual fan. When you have all of that movement, and maybe there's a name that they end up recognizing, or they have a connection to some team, whatever it is, because it's in their city or their dad, that was their dad's team, whatever it was, there becomes some connection. And if you don't have that coverage and you don't have it kind of going wall to wall, and it's just an afterthought or it's only showing up on a ticker, you're losing fans.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reason that you make these media deals, is so you can, one, keep the fans that you have, but also build the fans for the future. If you're not building for the future at all, you're going to die out as a league.
Well, or you die out as a franchise that is up for sale. And the Pohlads have become, there was not a real positive vibe about them in the Twin Cities and owning the Twins. And they could have changed that a couple of years ago when they acquired or Correa signed the only team that would pay him the kind of money he wanted in free agency. And he shows up in Minnesota, and part of it, Correa got injured, was stubborn, hasn't lived up throughout his entire brief Twins career to what we thought he was going to be. But they also did not help the roster around him. Yesterday was a sad day. And people know I have a special connection to the Twins. I used to work for them, still involved a little bit. It was a rough day. I can't imagine the vibe in the clubhouse today. And I can't imagine for the next 2 months what Target Field is going to be like. Great place. Peter, you were just there.
Yeah, I had a great time. Beautiful ballpark.
To go see, and they lost another series. They haven't won a series since the All-Star break, and they're trudging towards the finish line, not in a good way. But Target Field's a great place to go. Why would you go to Target Field? 40% of your roster got traded this week. 40% of the roster. And it was a major salary dump. So the Pohlads are about $440 million in debt, like most of us. And the team is for sale, and the price tag is north of $2 billion for the Minnesota Twins. And they just did a major salary dump yesterday. I think there's only a couple of guys on the roster that are left that are impending free agents.
What's the farm system look like for the Twins? Because if you're gonna
not great,
if you're gonna buy this, you're coming in knowing there's not really anything on the shelf.
No, they tore it down to the studs, and they're gonna say, hey, you come in and you don't have to assume all of this large salary, but still they're paying $33 million of Correa's salary to get rid of him. It was a sad day for Twins, because they're gonna play today. Buxton is on the IL. He's not out on the field, and you go, who are these guys? I mean, that's just it's to do that to your fan base when you already don't like the owners and the team is for sale is ridiculous. And they're going to have to go a long way to rebuild the faith with their fan base. And those are good fans. They love the Twins. Man, that is what summertime in Minnesota is. You're out on the lake and you got CCO on the radio, and now all of a sudden your team, which a couple of years ago, my gosh, they won a playoff series. They have Correa.
Yep.
And now they don't have anybody. 40% of the roster is gone. If you're a Twins fan, it's okay to be angry. The Pohlads can't come back from this. I mean, they just can't. And good luck to the new owner that comes in there, because they've got to pick up the pieces of now a shattered franchise. And if you're there, why would you stay? I mean, you're like, hey, can you please trade me? I thought they would trade TC the Bear and then Minnie and Paul. I mean, they didn't. I don't know what happened. Did the phone not work? Did they hit the 5 o'clock trade deadline and they couldn't get something for the mascot? Just a bad day. Bad day for the Twins. Bad day for the Pohlads. Not a great day for baseball, but I feel for the Twins fans and the guys that are left, and they need to embrace Byron Buxton more than ever. And I can't imagine what his feelings are. The other big story yesterday is finally we got confirmation, and I appreciate, because once the news of Markway in Lincoln, the tight end transfer from LSU who got injured kind of around this time last year, that there was a report. What were we together on Wednesday morning? Yeah, day two of practice. That he was in street clothes and it didn't look good, and that spread like wildfire. And instead of not addressing it, I'm glad that Matt Rule, and we kind of thought this, that he would talk, because he's the guy that talks about injuries. He came in right away and mentioned that Markway is going to be out, has torn his ACL again, or as he labeled it, his ACL repair did not work. Should there be a follow-up there about why it didn't work, or the rehab, or anything like that? Because that was a strange way to put that injury.
I think because he was only at the mic for 70 seconds.
Yeah.
Total 70 seconds. There was only one follow-up from Steve Sipple, and it was something along the lines of, how often do you hear about an ACL repair failing?
Mm-hmm.
Because he said the ACL repair failed. And as somebody who has gone through a sports surgery before.
What did you have?
Torn labrum.
Whoa.
Shredded it.
Yeah.
Last meet I ever threw in college at Ole Miss. Pretty sure it went on the very first throw of the meet, and I went, oh, that's done. Well, if that's done and I'm here, let's see what we got in the tank. And I improved a little bit. I ended up getting third, and then I was like, well, if this is gone, I'm just going to ice the hell out of it. And I threw discus later in the day too.
Yeah.
And I made finals in that. I was like, all right, this thing is absolutely done. So I had a torn labrum, got an anchor and 4 screws in there. But when he said the ACL repair failed, to me it was, okay, was it the surgery or was it the rehab? Because maybe he pushed himself too early when something happened. And this is all speculation there. We're going to assume.
But no, speculation, yes, but I wouldn't blame him because he's already missed a year.
Yeah. Well, he's now going to miss 3 out of 4 football seasons because his senior year, he also had an injury of high school. The only time he's played it now in 4 seasons will have been his true freshman year at LSU.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps he pushed himself too hard. Maybe there was something where maybe it's a freak thing. He just stepped wrong and twisted wrong. And it was completely unfootball related, unrehab related. Like, those things are all possible. And to Rule, he said it sounded like it wasn't one. He said it wasn't one play. Didn't really know. Just came in and there was some swelling. Which that's really interesting. The week after talking about there were 46 injuries on the turf over the last 4 years, and now you've got this grass, and then right away, day one, it's the ACL, and not necessarily there was a pop and everything went down and it was dramatic. There was just swelling. So the way he phrased it made it sound like it was the surgery's fault.
Mm-hmm.
To me, knowing how a lot more of these work and having gone through it personally, I wouldn't be surprised if there was just something just happened in the rehab.
So the rehab, and again, I've not had one of those injuries. You just hear about athletes that come back and they don't want to be on the sidelines. That's a lonely place. When you're rehabbing, you're not around your teammates. And especially like you just mentioned, Caleb, he hasn't played a lot of football and you don't want to be on the shelf again. I'm a big believer in that's a year-long process.
Yeah.
That's not, there's not enough freaks out there that's a 6-month or 8-month process. That is a year-long process. And if you go back to the number that Rule gave, Rule is, and I don't know how you avoid this, Nebraska does take some chances on guys that have had knee injuries.
Mm-hmm.
And they're trending the wrong direction of those guys seem to have another injury, or that injury that lingered in high school or their previous stop continues when they get to Nebraska. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a Nebraska thing, but it's just some people are injury prone, and it sucks. And everything that has been said about Markway is great guy, great teammate, wants to be out there, probably was rehabbing because he doesn't want to be in that lonely world of the teams on the practice field, and you're sitting in a rehab facility all by yourself or with a rehab specialist, and you're like, oh, hey, how's the weather out there? You want to be
rehab sucks.
Yeah, it's a lonely place.
And you're watching all of your friends, all of your buddies, all of your teammates, like they're out there doing their thing, and all you want to do is be on the field.
Mm-hmm.
And that sucks. And then he's gone through that too. He had gone through that last year. He's like, man, it was a lot more fun when I was on the field. And then now to immediately do it again. Oh,
yeah, it'll be, now his Instagram post from the other day makes perfect sense. And you'll have to start that process over to rehab again. But let's also, the part of the football stuff. And granted, he was going to be one of 4 guys in a tight end room, and we've waxed poetic for a couple of days about the tight end room and then put a pause on it midweek, thinking, okay, there's only going to be 3 guys there. Do you really miss something you don't have?
I think that's a lot of the conversation we've had about the tight end room is the potential. So let's say
now 3 of the guys have played. He hadn't played yet.
Yeah, but what were you other than Lindenmeyer, no one extensively? Like Lindenmeyer is your only really known commodity at the position.
Mm-hmm.
So outside of him, if they were like, Harburg either got hurt or decided he wasn't going to play football. We know what the potential is and the things are that we see athletically and that the coaches talk about. But if we haven't actually seen a whole lot of it, are you missing it other than the potential? And that's the same thing with Markway.
Oh, this is a prospects discussion too with the MLB trade.
Oh,
deadline.
for sure.
Yes.
For sure. But that's what it is we haven't seen it on the field. Holgerson even said yesterday, he goes, I don't know what I'm missing because I haven't coached him in a season.
Thank you. I don't want to poo-poo the injury, and it'd be great to have depth, but moving forward, you don't know what you have. You think you look at what he did at LSU, and you're like, okay, inline blocker, he would fit here. But if you've never had that, can you lose it? You can miss it and go, oh, okay. But I don't know. It's if you're probably the best way to put this as I look at this injury. He was the 4th tight end in an offense where at least they're going to utilize tight ends. It happened earlier than later.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. Day one.
I know it sounds odd, and it probably is like, well, that's harsh. Well, now you have 28 more days to not have that person anywhere around where you're not like, okay, we don't have to. Okay, do we make a spot for him? What do we got to do? Okay, we're going to get him back, so we don't have to necessarily fine tune this.
Ingerson, guess what? You're getting snaps now. More snaps than you were going to get. And you get those practice reps. Day 1 better than day 61.
That sounds like coach speak there.
Yeah. It's also just like plain logic on if you're going to have somebody go down, when do you want it to happen? Either the very first, like if you have to have them go down.
Yeah.
We all want the not going down part to happen, but if you have to, it's either day 1 of practice or day 1 of the off season.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're either getting through the season or it's just happening right away. Anything in the middle, then you're adjusting on the fly and you're saying, well, this guy hasn't had as many snaps and as many reps, but now he's got to be ready to go. Now you've got the rest of this month to get ready for game 1. And they might be Harburg. You have to figure out the blocking now because you're not going to be able to just come in and be in certain sets. And we were able to lean on Lindenmeyer and Markway when we need 2 tight ends and they're blocking. No, Harburg, you got to do it. Or Ingerson, you got to get out there and do it. Or Carter Nelson, guess what? You've come back to tight end. You have to figure this out now. It's go time.
All right, we're off and running on a Friday to kick off the month of August. Final day of the week. Canadians are screwing us again. some might say. We're screwing Canada. If you're outside, the air is,
Yeah.
Wildfires from Canada have made their way to Omaha. All right, lots to discuss. Things were said yesterday. Hogo talked, said quite a bit. We'll break through what he said. Also, some winners and losers from the MLB trade deadline, including, I think the Kansas City Royals had a good day yesterday. And more on the little bit of football we watched last night, or whatever that was going on in Canton, Ohio. Plus our favorite mullet athletes, led by Jared Allen, who's going into Canton this weekend. It's Gary and Matt with Caleb Henry from Husker Max Inn. Peter Krenzer here as well in 1620 The Zone. All right, good Friday morning, everybody, and welcome to the month where the greatest sport in America, I don't want to speak for everybody, I'll speak for the majority, the greatest sport known to mankind is back. It is called football. Football is back. The NFL started last night, but that was in July. This is August. Now real football will happen before the end of the month, and we'll be waking up 4 weeks from today, digesting what we saw just a couple of hours earlier at Arrowhead Stadium.
Do you know yet who is doing the post game from the night before into the wee hours of the morning potentially?
It's a mystery. Not a bad mystery. It's just a mystery.
Yeah.
You'll have to tune in to find out.
I love that from the fact of one, having done morning radio previously. Whenever there is something in the middle of the week and it's not on a Friday or Saturday, we're like, all right, I can be up. When it happens, this is why I always said the worst time to my least favorite time for any game was a basketball game on a Tuesday 8 p.m. tip.
Thank you, Big Ten Network.
It is the thing that happens Monday through Thursday, and you know you're going to be up, and you're going to be up after the game, and then getting up in the morning like, all right, well, I'm on 2 hours of sleep. We were going to talk about this? Let's go.
It'll be all about adrenaline. I mean, there will. I've heard a couple of people, actually a couple of our listeners, who have to be, unfortunately, they have to work on the Friday after the Thursday night game, but they're going to Arrowhead and they're just going to drive back. They're going to be part of the convoy that'll be coming back north on Interstate 29 at midnight.
Code red and adrenaline.
And you'll see all those Missouri State troopers that'll be by the side of the road trying to take our money. Not to make the Minnesota Twins fans feel any worse as they're waking up this morning and wondering where their franchise went. Last year, the Tigers kind of sold some parts at trade deadline day. They were 8 games out of the wild card when they decided to be a seller. The Twins, when they started to sell this past week, they were only 5.5. They are only 6 out of the wild card. I'm sure that'll make Twins fans feel a lot better.
You're in it.
Yes.
And this is because what did the Cardinals do? This would have been early 2010s, where like the last 2 weeks of the season, they were several games back and just went on a tear and then end up winning the World. I think it was 2011. To start August, 6 games back, and now you don't even have your roster.
Hey, at least they got Joe Ryan. I thought Joe Ryan would be traded. He's still there, and that white flag is waving atop Target Field. It sucks. This was a bad day, really, really bad day for the Minnesota Twins. A good day if you'd like some conversation, and the timing couldn't be better. As Caleb alluded to this the other day when he was in studio with us, and if you haven't, if you're wondering who that is, that's Caleb Henry from Husker Max that's with us, or Nebraska on SI.
Yeah, we got publishing rights to that, but yeah, we just the branding is Husker Max.
But I love you long time because you're on with us this morning, and on August 1st, you have just dropped Nebraska football's all-quarter century team, who you told me how many votes?
We ended just shy of 20,000 total votes on this. Nice. It took about the last 2 months of voting, rolling stuff out, where you started with the backfield, so it was just quarterback and 2 running backs. Then it was the pass catchers, 2 wideouts and a tight end. Then the offensive line, defensive line, linebackers, defensive backs, and then your specialists, a kicker, a punter, and a returner. And that gives us our team of 25 for the 25 seasons that Nebraska football has played over the last quarter century.
Just scrolling here, I've not found really anything I disagree with. There's a gap with offensive linemen of the best of the quarter century from guys that played in either their eligibility expired with the 2000 season or 01 or 02 or 03. And then you go a long way before Cam Jurgens shows up when he showed up from Beatrice in 18.
Yeah. And
that just, yeah.
Yeah, and I think I had even...
That's a problem.
I had even said, I don't think that would have been my vote, but there were plenty of people. There was Rob Zadiska, who knows offensive linemen better than I do. he had got on and he said, no, if you watched him play, it doesn't show up in the accolades, but he's a really good offensive lineman. I don't know where that fits when you're looking at other guys then over the last 25 years. Because this is top 4 heavy on that offensive line when you look at accolades.
Yes.
Top 3 especially.
I'm glad that Finoti is on here. I know that he's in the Nebraska Football Hall of Fame. It almost seems like his career got lost because he was on some really, really good teams. Finoti was dominating.
All-American.
It's been 14 years since Nebraska's had a first-team All-American?
Yeah.
Finoti was one of my favorites. He was such a large individual. Crouch, of course, is the quarterback. The 2 running backs, Amir and Burkhead. Now, speaking of Amir, yesterday morning, it was announced that he had signed with the San Francisco 49ers.
Yes.
And if you look at his draft class, I think that Amir's draft class, the only running backs that are still active are Derrick Henry. So Derrick Henry, and then let me hold on here. I want to double check this because I was doing this on the fly in my head about the draft in 2015. Yeah, so Todd Gurley, unfortunately, his career was cut short. Melvin Gordon is not in the league anymore. These are first round draft picks.
Since 2015 for Amir Abdullah, there's only one back that has played more games than him in the league.
Derrick Henry? No, let's see. Henry wasn't in 15, was he?
No, his new teammate, the fullback Kyle. I never know how to pronounce his last name.
Janicek.
But yeah, that is the only back in the NFL to have played more games than Amir Abdullah since 2015.
So I think it's okay that Amir has not been a star in the NFL. He's 6 yards away from 2,000. I think there is more of a credit of longevity. He has been a career backup. He's been a special teams guy. I think it's okay that he didn't go from being a star at Nebraska to a star in the NFL. And he had some fumbling issues early on in his career. But I think he should get a lot of credit for what you just mentioned, because that guy's a fullback. That it is 2025 and Amir is still playing.
And he's had special moments for sure. Like you see the moments where people are like, oh man, I might have to go grab Amir Abdullah for my fantasy football team. Because like he has stepped up in some big moments, but he's not in every year when you're looking at him going, that is the 16, now 17 game starter for this franchise. But he's played really well out of the backfield. He's caught a lot of passes out of the backfield. And when you think of guys making a career in the NFL, think about the number of quarterbacks that have made a career in the NFL, and they've started like less than a dozen games in 15 years. Amir has made himself a career in the NFL. When you're going on year 11, you're 11 in the NFL. I don't care how many games you've started. If you're signed and playing every year in the NFL, and it's not just we made a practice squad, I signed a camp deal. No, like he's playing with the actual roster when it comes to the full season. That's incredible.
So guys that were selected ahead of him, and Amir was in the second round by Detroit. TJ Yeldon got selected by Jacksonville out of Alabama in that second round. These are, I mentioned a couple of them. These were the first round running back pickups in the 2015 draft. Melvin Gordon, Todd Gurley, that was it. So Amir was the fourth running back taken in 2015, and he's the only guy that's left.
Yeah. Now, you can look at what were the highs of guys like Melvin Gordon and Todd Gurley, and you can compare those to Amir Abdullah, but not the longevity.
Yeah, the one guy, like it, and I know he had injuries. It seems like Todd Gurley should still be playing.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a huge Todd Gurley fan, and injuries, unfortunately, stunted his career. Melvin Gordon, who started to bounce around, ended up playing with the Chargers, the Broncos, and the Ravens. Okay, so 6,500 rushing yards in the NFL. He played 112 games. And a lot of those, he had the great year in 17, and then he was really good in 18 as well with the Chargers. But Amir not being a star, and I don't think it bugs him. Like, he's a humble guy.
Yeah.
It's 2025, and he's still playing in the NFL. That's a hell of an accomplishment, and probably not as big as being on the all-quarter century team at running back.
I don't know about that. By the way, if he gets 6 yards rushing this season, he'll go over 2,000 in his career in the NFL. It's a nice number. He could be, if he does that and 32 yards receiving, he'll be 2,000 rushing, 1,500 receiving.
It's a nice career, and he's made some good money.
Yeah.
Had a couple of big contracts in there. One other thing here, and again, this is up on si.com/college/Nebraska, or go to huskermax.com. Good on the voters, Carlos Polk.
Yes.
Is one of the linebackers on the all-quarter century team. Now, people may go, well, most of his career was at the end of the 90s because he played on the 2000 team. He gets to be involved.
There's some guys that snuck in playing in 2000 and 2001. And you saw it heavy with the offensive line. You saw it with the quarterback, who's the last Heisman winner in the program, So, like, there are some that just make sense when you go through. And you have guys that are all Americans. And it baffled me that you could have a couple thousand votes, and for whatever reason, 4 people did not vote for Ndamukong Suh.
I hope their vote was taken away, the rest of their ballot.
But not everybody voted for Ichiro Suzuki either, remember.
That's true. That is true. You can find that there. So the most recent guys, what am I seeing here? Stanley Morgan, Austin Allen are some of the more recent guys that have completed eligibility in the last, what was Stanley's last year, 18?
Yeah.
Austin Allen's last year was the 21 season.
Yeah, Big Ten tight end of the year. Obviously, Cam Jurgens.
But that gap between the best offensive lineman and then all the way to Cam Jurgens, whoops.
Yeah. And you look at where a lot of that defensive line played. Obviously, Sue and Crick played together in on that 09 team.
A lot of Bo heavy here. Bo would be the coach of this team, correct?
Probably. He had the most wins. He didn't have a losing season. Yeah, probably.
You paused there for a moment. Who else were you thinking of? Solich?
He actually played for a national championship. He won a conference championship. No, it wasn't this quarter century.
That's a good. I would still go with Bo, but you could.
I think there's an argument.
You could engage me in a debate about if you were going to pick an all quarter century coach. Would it be Bo or Frank?
They both had careers after Nebraska. One of them, I would say, had significantly more success than the other.
Yeah, the success at Ohio compared to Youngstown State was a little bit different.
Yeah, a little bit.
All right, coming up a little bit later, Mike Schaefer will stop by. Matt Verzal, we still have lots to react to from the OC yesterday. And his wide receiver coach spoke, who looks like he was a player.
Yeah.
If you didn't know who that was, you would have thought, oh, what wide receiver is that?
Where'd he transfer in from?
This might be this would be a good question for Rule, and I don't know how he would handle it. Is this the best staff that he has had from Temple to Baylor to the NFL to here?
Resume, maybe. We got to see results, though.
You're always a results guy, but it's all about the process. You got to get to the process to get the results, right?
Give me just win, baby. Just win. The process doesn't matter.
All right, welcome to August. Hour number 2 coming up after this. All right, your Friday is better when you have Creed in your life. I do not believe, well, I know this for a fact, this song was not aired on this morning back in 1981. August 1st, 1981 was a significant day in music. Would you guys like to take a guess of what August 1st, 1981 was that changed music forever? 44 years ago at 12:01 a.m.
So right at the
Mhm.
stroke of midnight.
How many years until you were born, Peter?
I was born 18 years later.
Hey, but Peter, you like music. Hey,
I do.
we got an anthem for college football. MGK is the person that put it together. We'll be sick of it. I give week 3. Music is always part of sports. This didn't really. They had a sports later where they would have celebrity softball games. And then they put out a CD of arena songs, jock jams. On this date, 44 years ago today, MTV launched.
Oh,
Ladies and gentlemen, rock and roll. They played Money for Nothing, Chicks for Free, played every hour on the hour, and then I'm pretty sure that ZZ Top, Sharp Dressed Man played like all the time.
but now MTV is just all
Reality shows.
it's all reality.
They don't
shows.
play music videos anymore.
Oh yeah, no, it's not about the music anymore.
Does outside of country music, I don't know we could turn to MTV and see what's on. I don't know where that.
Did we lose? Oh, here I got you.
Okay.
But I remember
I
even
think only country music is the only one that still does music
in the morning,
videos, correct?
in the mornings.
No, they like artists.
Oh yeah. Well, I think they still make music videos for other genres, don't they? But I remember getting home from school and turning on what was it? TRL, Total Request Live.
Yeah, how many people got their start there?
You had was it Seacrest was on there, wasn't he?
He might have been.
But yeah, I remember turning that on, watching that. Britney Spears, Toxic.
So
That'll change a young man's life.
You would wake up in the morning and you'd have cartoons and you'd watch MTV or Sports Center.
I had Sports Center on.
But MTV hasn't aired music videos for a long time.
Because that's back when Sports Center was giving you all of the highlights of watching all the things, and then you had to watch the previous day's top 10 and then run out the door to school.
Hockey Dad video killed the radio star. That was their first video. So MTV today, I was all fired up because they brought an MTV2, and I'm like, I love MTV. MTV is great. I would come home from school. Cubs weren't on. Something was on, like Total Request Live was on MTV, and they were from Times Square, and they had the backdrop. It was awesome. Loved it. But there was just music videos, and you'd watch them, and they would drop in a show here or there. Now, and then they got MTV2 because they were going to treat MTV as like their entertainment. And they were going to do all those shows, and then MTV2 was going to be the music videos.
Yeah.
Then music videos are gone. MTV right now has Ridiculousness is on
all day.
Wait a minute. They air The Big Bang Theory? So at noon on MTV is The Big Bang Theory?
That feels way out of the realm of who's watching. Like what?
And then they have Pitch Perfect. And
the
then
Pitch Perfect trilogy, and then more Ridiculousness.
That's what's on MTV. But not 44 years ago today when it came on and they had the launching, like their first thing they showed, if I remember correctly, was the launching of the space shuttle.
Oh, nice.
Like that was their liftoff.
Well, and then you have the Spaceman, and that's the legacy of where that is. That's the Spaceman,
44 years ago to today, we all learned what MTV was. Music television.
And about 20 years ago, we were watching The Darkness sing I Believe in a Thing Called Love on there. And you're like, this is weird.
All right, this is a great Friday because it's the start of August. Of course, football is in the month. And we're going to do something that we don't do regularly, or it does not happen. It just happened by a chance here. Back-to-back callers, some of your faves, on the Prairie Flower, God dang it, Peter. Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. First up, Nebraska ball, Mike.
I want my MTV.
Thank you.
I miss it a ton. I miss VH1 doing videos. I miss the whole thing. Now they make you pay for it.
VH1 behind the music.
Yeah.
Yes. And by the way, where was the Ozzy behind the music when he died? They should have done that again. They didn't do that. Quiz question, everybody.
Let me see what's on VH1.
Who was the second video ever played on MTV?
Wasn't it Money for Nothing? Chicks for Free?
No.
Okay. Whoa. I don't know.
Pat Benatar.
Oh. Hit Me With Your Best Shot?
No. The song is called You Better Run.
Okay. That was a good song from Pat Benatar.
1981.
All right.
And, man, MTV changed the world.
It did.
And about 20 years later, they forgot what they were doing.
Yeah, they started to make a lot of money, and they started to branch out.
Money television, not music television?
Pretty much. And now nobody knows. Now it's all YouTube, and nobody watches anything for that.
Well,
anymore.
You know what? You can watch country music television. They have videos in the morning, and then they have their top 20 show from 8 to 11 on Saturday and Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
That was weird because we got it here in 90. Didn't we get it here in 94?
Country music television?
Yeah.
I do not know. I was I did not live in Omaha back then.
I think we got that here in 94, and I was just happy we had videos because, like, everybody was, even in 94, people were going, But yeah, I'm perfect age for that.
Okay.
And
that was a game changer. Mike, thanks for the phone call. Have a great weekend.
You too.
All right, Nick Cannon. So I'm looking at the VH1. What's on today?
Oh, Wild and Out.
Nick Cannon presents Wild and Out. I Know What You Did Last Summer. My Wife and Kids. Jay wonders why Michael saved a picture of an attractive ex-girlfriend. All right. Oh, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air airs at 3:00.
This is along the same lines of like History Channel, when you used to get stuff on History Channel instead of it's all the Curse of Oak Island and Ice Road Truckers.
Now, I have watched Basketball Wives. It'll be on at 10:30 tonight. Love and Hip Hop Miami. Well, okay. So VH1 and MTV has changed. So Total Request Live hosts Carson Daly, who is now on the Today Show. Kurt Loder, who was one of the originals. Who else was on here? DC Young Fly. Ray Munns. You probably don't recognize the name, but you'd recognize the face. Vanessa Lachey.
Okay.
And then Nick Lachey's wife.
Old Nick Lachey.
Dave Holmes. He was a popular guy.
Uh-huh.
Okay, maybe you didn't watch it as much. Kate Bosworth. She was a Total Request Live host.
Yep.
It was pretty good. Carson Daly was perfect for that show.
So I will, as we did, poo-poo the reality TV, but early on, like the show's Real World, Road Rules, the early ones of those, phenomenal. Because you'd never seen anything like it before.
And then I'm trying to look here, a list of the most popular shows. Jersey Shore by far.
Oh, you could not escape Jersey Shore.
No, and you still can't today.
Oh, yeah, it's back.
Because they went on vacation this summer, and that actually was on MTV.
Oh.
And yes,
I was unaware.
Yes. It is the highest rated and most popular show ever on MTV was Jersey Shore.
That does not surprise me. That thing was seeped into popular culture.
It was on when I was going through high school and college. You could not escape that.
Why isn't MTV Cribs higher on this list?
Where is it on there?
Well, welcome to my crib.
It's like 6th. MTV Cribs was fantastic. And then they would do athletes.
Yes. That was fun. Like that was an interesting, and that's along the lines for me of the behind the music stuff where it's like you're getting a peek into a little bit more of the background instead of reality TV trash.
If they
the
did
way
like
it's
a
developed.
revival of celebrity and athlete cribs, I would totally watch that. Just house tours.
Which
Might be-
channel? Which channel was
might be a little
Pimp My
bit-
Ride with Exhibit?
Was
Was that VH1?
I think that was VH1. I don't know that they would do the athlete cribs today because of everything that's going on with athletes. They're getting their houses broken into.
Yeah, that's true.
Ooh.
You don't want to accidentally reveal your.
Real World is
location.
second, which began in 1992.
Yeah.
And had a great run of when you put people that don't know each other in the same house. There was a stretch when it began that I did not miss a season, and then I got busy and life happened. I met women.
I feel like that was a lot of the early reality TV shows where you watched them. You watched Real World. I got into Road Rules. I got into Survivor for like several seasons. I could not care about it at all now. Did I just get old? Is that all that happened? I
No.
got old and I stopped
No.
caring.
MTV kicked off reality shows because The Osbournes was kind of like the first reality show, and that aired on MTV.
Mhm.
And then you had Jessica Simpson and Nick Lachey,
Ah, yeah.
which I watched. And then you had The Hills, and then you had others that were on. Yeah, those were the good moments of MTV. But it debuted 44 years ago today.
That's incredible.
All right, from Nebraska Ball Mike to random Mike. This is a good daily double. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Hey guys, great news about Abdullah. If you were to pick like the top 20 runs in Nebraska history, wouldn't you say Abdullah would maybe have more than just about anybody? I mean, he had some incredible runs.
I would have to go through in a list. He would have a few on there. What do you, off the top of your head, what do you think is the best run he ever had at Nebraska?
Well, remember some of those wins we pulled out, and maybe that Northwestern Hail Mary, that run he had. I think it was after a catch. Was it a fourth down? Just incredible. How many wins did Pelini have? So many close wins.
Well,
which we've had close losses lately.
I don't know.
Abdullah plays at the end.
I don't know if anybody has ever calculated Amir's WAR, but during that stretch on that team for what he did, and he erased so many mistakes.
He was extremely clutch.
Yes.
Whether it was like it wasn't necessarily a big run. It wasn't like a 70-yarder here.
Right,
it was a first down when you needed it type of a thing.
Exactly. And that's huge.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, that was the difference in winning and losing.
Two that come to mind is they were kind of game savers, and look at the opponent. McNeese State and then Northwestern.
McNeese to me is the biggest one because that was a game that you can't lose that one.
Would you throw in? I know with special teams, would you throw in his 100-yard kickoff return for a touchdown?
That'd be nice too. But so he's with the 49ers now?
Yes. He signed yesterday.
And just maybe he may make some huge runs for them. I mean, he's still capable.
He definitely is. He's proven to be a worthy backup, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, and mainly third down now. But hey, Gary, I got to ask you. Of course, we wanted a starter for the Cubs, but if you were to find out that maybe a big reason we didn't get a starter was we just signed Kyle Tucker to a long-term contract, how would you feel about that?
It would definitely change my opinion, but I don't foresee that now at the end of the year. I know that having an interim general manager in Washington trying to get Gore probably did not help. They also wanted to hold on to some prospects, but are you doing enough? Because they did improve their bullpen, and I like the Castro pickup because less Justin Turner, the better. But did they do enough to win the World Series? I imagine if Milwaukee would have made a more significant move, then the Cubs would have had to top that. Tyon and Asada coming back, I just hope this doesn't come back to haunt them because they don't have a staff that I think can last a long time in the postseason. They can win you a couple of games, but they can't win you a couple of rounds.
Yeah, that's certainly a good argument. But how about Ben Brown? What is his status now? Because I think he's one of those guys where, maybe the switch goes on, maybe has more confidence in that other pitch where, he's got the stuff. Would you agree?
Yeah, but it's not consistent enough. Like,
no, not now, yeah.
Yeah, I listen, they needed a frontline starting pitcher. They weren't able to get one. They did improve the back end of their bullpen, which I appreciate. They got a guy that can switch hit and play 5 different positions.
That's big.
It just they need a starter, because if you began the postseason today, Matthew Boyd would be your game 1 starter. Amanga would be your number 2 starter. That's where they're at. But if this is Kyle Tucker's only year, there has to be an over and above sense of urgency, because if you only have him for a year, you got to cash in on.
Have you had Russ Hochstein as a guest?
In the past, yes.
Speaking of guys on the all-quarter century team.
Nice, Caleb.
Yeah, but here's the thing. He had a teammate, Tom Brady, that has there ever been a great player that has given up, sacrificed more salary that he could have had to make the team better?
Tom Brady certainly was that guy. But are you implying that Kyle Tucker would do that?
Well,
because he's going to get paid. He's going to get paid a lot of money in the offseason.
Wouldn't it be nice if he took less but still make an incredible amount of money, because he's that important to the team, and with him, this team has a chance to be really good for a number of years.
Well, that's true.
He's that important a guy.
That's true. If you say he won't be on the roster next year, they're pretty much set across the board, position player wise. But he definitely, if he came back, it would be a game changer, and then that window would open with him and Pete Crow Armstrong, and then whatever else you do. And Matt Shaw has been better at the plate since the All-Star break. I don't know. It kind of every deal that happened. And, Taylor Rogers kind of flew under the radar. He's a nice addition to the bullpen. I was waiting for another one. Like, okay, this is a nice little addition, but where's the big one? And we never got the big one yesterday.
That's true. But as you mentioned, the guys coming back from injury. Look, when you win championships, you got to get lucky in certain areas, whether it's just staying injury-free. But these guys coming back can really make the difference, if they do.
But you can help your luck if you go and get the right guy.
Yeah, I do believe if Milwaukee had made a big splash, it would have forced the Cubs to do the same.
Here's the thing, Milwaukee, they got so much stuff on their staff, but the thing about King Tuck, he's such a great player with the ability not to swing at the bad pitches, not to get too crazy, and the effect that can have on his teammates.
Well, let's hope so. He has not had a great month of July. In the field, he's still been really good, but at the plate, he looks like Jason Hayward.
No, but the thing is, he's still getting on base.
Well, I wouldn't trade him. I just hope that what happened yesterday doesn't come back to haunt the Cubs, and Tucker realizes he enjoys playing in Chicago, and they will make a significant move to keep him.
Yeah, and they got to realize that too. But you're hoping, because there are guys on that team. You got to love Horner, right?
Cade Horton? Or no, you're talking Nico Horner.
Nico, right?
Yes.
There are a lot of guys that are just great teammates.
Yeah,
you got to figure he appreciates that.
They are a very likable team, and like he has the picture of him taking the fellas out on a boat on Lake Michigan. So I think he enjoys it there. But there's going to be a lot of money. There's going to be a lot of money and suitors for him when the season is over if he doesn't stay a Cub. I mean, even if he stays a Cub, he's going to get paid handsomely for being as talented as he is at that age.
One more random question. That game you broadcast, the football game between Millard South and West Side with Rezac and Kozo putting on a show, how enjoyable was that for you compared to all the other games you telecast?
Oh, it definitely was fantastic. The game went to overtime. No, it's one of the better high school football games that I've seen in person or broadcast, no doubt.
All right, take care, guys.
Okay, that's Random Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Is that your first experience with Random Mike?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Matt does not take calls when you're not here.
Okay.
We don't talk to anybody. Matt and I just hang out for 4 hours.
That's okay.
It's good.
Yeah.
I think it's good radio.
We've never had Nebraska Ball Mike and Random Mike
Yeah,
back to back.
when I got the second call, I was like, wow, it back to back.
I take that back. Matt and I did take calls when you were out and chasing Omaha around. It was always Creighton basketball guys. It was always Creighton basketball guys.
Because they knew you were in.
Because they knew I was in and just called to bust my balls on on how everything was going.
I'll wait for the Creighton basketball fan to call in and go, hey, tell me about that Frager kid. He looks really good. Wow, are they pushing him?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I wonder what his minutes will look like this upcoming season.
I don't know. It's such a crapshoot with this team. Like every single year, what is it going to look like? Because of the number of transfers, and then who are you replacing? It just feels like there's not enough consistency year to year. So I follow this team like not as close as like Robin Washit but like I'm following it pretty dang close. I'm at every game.
They have a chance to be pretty good in the front court.
Yes.
And
can the European guy, the 7'1" guy, can he come along by the time the season is halfway through and you're into Big Ten?
I would rather redshirt him.
I mean, I would too, but this is 2025. If guys can play and make your team better,
but I don't know how much he would play, and
play them before they decide they want to go play somewhere else.
Well, is he going to be a guy that physically could hold up in the Big Ten, and how many minutes is he going to play? I actually don't think they definitely need him outside of an injury.
As long as Rink Mast's surgery didn't fail. I think he's back. Mast is good. Like he's going to Rink will hold up fine.
They need him to hold up fine.
Well, they had to change the offense without him last year.
He will be. So they've had the people that have been with him on a daily basis. They have done a lot of stuff where Kendall Blue is one of their primary ball handlers, a transfer from St. Thomas.
Which is interesting because that can be your primary ball handler, but how do you initiate your offense? Like, because those are two different things. And under Hoiberg, his best seasons have been where a big initiates the offense. He got it going with Derek Walker. Then you saw Rink Mast. And then last year, you didn't have a high IQ big who could step out and do that. And it became, Bryce, can you go do your thing? Mm-hmm. Jawan, are you going to have a good night? And then it was like, that's what you had.
They will have, their offense will look closer to what it looked like in 23 than in 24.
Good.
Well, because they have more shooters on the floor. They'll be able to put more shooters on the floor, and then Rink Mast. They also will pass the basketball a little bit better, and that starts with Mast.
Mm-hmm.
If he can, all they need him is to be exactly on the same level that he was 2 years ago.
Yeah,
but they've corrected those mistakes of last year, and then you don't know what Lawrence will look like.
Yeah,
but they want Kendall Blue to be a big usage guy.
Good. I think Nebraska's been missing that, having a guy who can be that full time, not just flashes of it. Because think about the number of times, even 2 years ago, Rink Mast got a board and he brought the ball up the floor.
Mm-hmm.
I want that ball going to a guard and quick and pushing the ball, have a little tempo, have a little pace. Nebraska, I think, was promised that with Hoiberg coming in, and then Hoiberg had to adjust to what college basketball is now for him in the Big Ten compared to what it was in the Big 12 before he went and tried out the NBA.
Yeah, I want to see Rhymes and Frager early. But when they get to Big Ten play, what does that rotation of 8 look like? Who is in that rotation of 8? We'll see. But they put out another video yesterday, and Frager was the guy they featured, which I don't think that was by, hey, okay, here's a guy. Let's get our Lincoln people. They'll like this guy.
Oh yeah,
they did it for that reason. I've heard he's had a really good off season and got better once he got acclimated to college because he came out early.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
All right. We'll get back to some football talk. Coming up a little bit later, Mike Schaefer will stop by. Matt Verzal as well. Dana Holgerson spoke yesterday. He spoke about his quarterback, who did not speak. and we will speak about what was spoken about the guy that did not speak. All makes sense. It's Gary and Matt. Caleb Henry sitting in for Matt. Peter Krenzer here as well. 1620 The Zone. Hey, Moose Roofing is here to speak to you. All right. You know that this week has been a little bit interesting. Regardless of what part of the metro you live in, you may have been hit by some storms, some hail, some strong wind, and all of a sudden you're wondering, is my roof in trouble? A little bit older home. Maybe your roof is the original, and you're thinking, okay, there's some shingles missing. It looks like it might have some hail damage. Well, don't you get up on the roof. Trusted the MVPs of roofing in Omaha, Moose Roofing, to take care of your most valuable asset. Go to the website today to schedule an inspection at mooseroofing.com. And then once you have an inspection set up, guys like Nate, they'll come out, they'll sit down with you, they'll get to know your challenges, what you think might be the issue, and then they go to work. They get on your roof, they get in your attic, they take pictures, they take video, they sit down with a plan. That plan that also includes how you're going to deal with your insurance company. They will even get on the phone. I've seen Pat Moose get on the phone and talk to an insurance company to make sure that this is what the customer wants and this is what they're going to do. And then they go to work. Top-notch communication. They take care of your property. They do not leave it in disarray when they're done. Local contractor here before the storm, during the storm, and after the storm. Commercial, residential, roof and repair. It is Moose Roofing. If you are in need of having your roof looked at or your roof replaced, there's only one place to go. They've been in business for nearly 30 years. It's Moose Roofing, online at mooseroofing.com. Good morning. Football is here. Football month in August. Maybe got a little taste last night. Said, you know what? I'm going to place a bet on the Hall of Fame game just to get started. He did not stay up for it. Chargers won 34-7. I'd imagine I'd put the Chargers already in Santa Clara for the Super Bowl. You know, something dawned on me last night as they were talking to him. How about Aiden Hutchinson? His last two head coaches have been Jim Harbaugh at Michigan and Dan Campbell with the Lions. How perfect a pairing is that for your last two coaches, who ironically were facing off against each other last night?
Right. It's pretty solid for him. It's pretty solid. And I will say I don't like Hutchinson, by the way.
Okay.
I didn't part of that is playing at Michigan.
All right.
You know, in Nebraska having struggles with Michigan. So like there are a lot of guys that are in the league that came out of the Big Ten that I just go, I don't like them because of what they did to Nebraska.
Do you have a favorite opposing player?
Favorite opposing player? Probably not.
Okay.
Like not for college football, like a guy that I like.
Somebody that's played regularly against Nebraska that you're like, oh, okay. Might not beat him, but I like that guy.
Not off the top of my head, no.
What happens if a Michigan player joins your favorite NFL team?
Good for them. Good.
Look at that.
Good for them.
That's what rivalries are about.
They better help you win.
Now,
so you talk about rivalries.
Yeah.
I was hearing there were some social media talking about, okay, who are everyone's rival in the Big Ten, and everyone had theirs, and then for Nebraska it just said everyone, because Nebraska just, especially Nebraska fans, you can talk about Iowa, you could talk about Wisconsin, and what maybe people wanted that to be more of a rivalry before the run, even some of like a lot of the Iowa stuff. But Nebraska fans just tend to, we don't really like anybody. We don't like anybody. There'll be the weird Nebraska and Ohio State tandem through COVID. You saw when USC was joining the league, it became kind of Nebraska and USC fans teaming up against Oregon and their expected takeover of the league, which they did go undefeated and win the Big Ten in their first year. But in general, Nebraska fans will fight with anybody, even themselves.
Speaking of rivals fighting, I guess Sam has triggered the Iowa fan base with his
the tight end U story.
Tight end U, that the Iowa, even media, and fans have gotten after Sam like in a big way in the last 2 days.
Well, good, because I wrote a tight end U story also, and nobody got after me. So thank you, Sam, for being the shield at the front of all of us here in Nebraska who wrote about what one of the players said.
This would be a good time to tell everybody that Caleb also runs the Iowa site on SI. So you're playing it right down the middle of the field.
I think they'd get more page views if I did.
How many page views do they get?
Iowa?
Like, you can give out, is that public information? Well, I guess you're in charge of it. How many? You told me that you guys had a incredible month for page views, and Nebraska's site is number one, which is how many page views?
I can just say
in a general
around 1 million.
Okay.
I can tell you Iowa was not there.
No, you don't have to give that number. Who is second?
Michigan.
Okay. Third?
LSU.
Fourth?
Colorado.
Really?
Deion Sanders carries a lot of weight when it comes to what gets run, and he obviously had some big news earlier this week. There was a big day.
Fifth?
Texas.
Okay. Those all make sense. They're take out Deion. They're all passionate fan bases.
BYU gets more page views than Iowa.
BYU's got a pretty passionate fan base.
Purdue gets more page views than Iowa.
Why is the Iowa site so low?
Because Hawkeye fans can't read.
Okay, there you go. That's Caleb Henry. Would you like to give out your email? So I'm going to ask you a question about the offense, of something that Holgerson said yesterday. There is a stat from last year that is still jaw-dropping to me, that a wide receiver at Nebraska, who yesterday said that he would like to lead the country in punt returns, and I almost said, Ja'Cory? Nebraska last year had 15 punt returns for 73 yards. Good on you. You could run forward and fall down, and you'd have a better chance of having more punt return yards during the course of the season. There is the Barney stat that I still think is wild. 55 catches, 0 touchdowns. 55 catches for Ja'Cory Barney last year, 0
freshman
touchdown.
receptions record.
Yeah.
And did not find the end zone with it.
But he carried the ball 10 times and scored 3 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I came across, because I was looking up...
Which is a really good rate.
Yes, it is.
30% of the time.
Yeah. Not bad. He also was at 13 yards per carry. So, not bad.
Solid.
But I was looking up some stuff about the offense. Do you know another stat that I ran across that I'm sure that we talked about it on the post game after the Illinois game or on the Monday after that game? And maybe we didn't because he was not as prevalent as he was later in the year. You remember how many carries Emmett Johnson had against Illinois?
Oh, against Illinois? So that was still pre-Holgerson?
Mm-hmm.
I know he only had one game before Holgerson that he had double-digit carries in. Was it the Illinois game?
No. Emmett Johnson never carried the ball against Illinois.
Okay, yeah. His carries were super low with Satterfield running the show.
And then Holgerson showed up, and the rest is history.
And he averaged double-figure carries.
And, touches. Touches were the big thing.
Touches overall because he was getting all he was getting the receptions as well.
Do you think this offense, so this is what I'm leading to, and Holgerson alluded to it a little bit yesterday about the deep balls and kind of playing in space and keeping it simple. Can Nebraska be successful on offense if they're a dinker and a doinker?
They can.
They're just death by paper cuts and not by the kill shot?
They can, but the reason you dink and dunk is because you have a kill shot in there somewhere.
Okay. Which...
But if all you do is dink and dunk, like if that's all you do is dink and dunk, and you don't have a kill shot, you don't have anything where it's hey, this guy is wide open downfield. You don't have a 30-yard play.
Which they only had 16 of those last year.
Yeah. Like if all you do is dink and dunk.
Wait a minute, they only had 5 of those last year.
Yeah, I was going to say 16 would have been nice. You only dink and dunk. That hurts your overall ceiling. Doesn't mean it can't be successful, but I think it limits what you're able to do because you're not able to stretch that defense at all. They are able to suck up and bring everyone closer to the line and able to, if it's a screenplay, think about the number of times we saw Fedoni catching the ball right at the line of scrimmage and people weren't blocking. You have to be a lot more successful at your blocks on the edge if you're going to dink and dunk and do those types of things. Guys have to get open at the line, but if that's all you're doing, defenses can press coverage you to death. They can get a lot more guys in the box because you're not taking any of those downfield shots and being successful with them. You have 5 on the year that were 30 plus. That tells me we will live with that because if we're one of the 5, we know it's probably not happening again today.
So they had 171 plays last year that went for 10 or more yards.
Mm-hmm.
They had 16 that went for 20 or more, 5 that went for 30 or more, and just 2 plays all year that went for 40 or more. Now, majority of those guys that were involved in the big plays are not here. But the quarterback is here. Barney is here. Emmett Johnson is here. Your wide receivers who would be the kill shot guys are here. But I think one of the first things you said is, and I think there'll be dinkers and dunkers and kill you by the paper cut, where you get the ball out, you get it quick, you get it in space, you get guys that can maneuver in space. They do believe that their blocking will be better, so they can play more on the edge. They have a running back, I think a couple of running backs that they can throw the ball to out of the backfield. So wheel routes, that kind of stuff. Just get the ball out quick.
Yeah.
Less thinking, more get it out, and let those guys go to work and then move the ball down the field. And then try and surprise them with a guy that can beat somebody down the field, and that's where you go with the kill shot. That's what I think this offense might be. It's just boom, 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 boom. Instead of, hey, we have a set of downs, we run the ball, we play a little dink and dunk, and then we try it for the big shot, doesn't come up, we're punting. We're 3 and out. Instead of, okay, we get 7 here, we get another 7, we get 12 here, we get 13 here, and the next thing you know, you're moving down the field. But you're not like eating up yardage. I think that would be one of the more frustrating things as a defense. Keep you on your heels.
And it would be good if while you're doing that, that play that has been getting you 7 yards this time, 9 yards this time, you call it again, it gets 5. If on one of those, Ja'Cory Barney breaks it loose, where you're calling it saying, we want to get 5 to 15 yards out of this play. But then he just breaks it. Like, those guys have to make guys miss. We haven't seen a lot of that either, where guys just make everyone on the defense miss, get to the edge and go. And it doesn't just have to be think 2 years ago, Jalen Lloyd and Malachi Coleman just take off deep and the ball's going up in the air.
Which there was no rhyme or reason because there was no pet plays to set something like that up. That's another part of, I think, we'll go, okay, this is what this is supposed to look like. This looks like competent offense that plays complement each other, and they're pet plays that you can go back to later in the game, but everything sets everything up.
Yes.
Instead of, all right, we're going to run on first down. We're going to try an out route of 15 yards on second down, and then let's go for a big play. Let's find Coleman or Lloyd down there somewhere else. That's what I'm looking forward to this year, and I think it'll greatly benefit the quarterback, is things will make sense. Why this play is called, because it sets up the next play. Instead of, okay, we're screwed, it's now 3rd and 10. All right, spin the wheel. Oh, that looks like a good one. Let's they know we need 10. Let's send 3 guys 15 yards down the field. Let's take our shot with a quarterback who deep ball accuracy needs to greatly improve and become more consistent. I think it's okay to say, Dylan, it's just boom, boom, boom. Get it out. Get it out. I know you want to go deep, and we're going to go deep, but you know what? What if you're a Brock Purdy?
Just go be successful. Just get it to guys who make plays. Why do we think this didn't work with Satterfield calling the plays or under Frost? Because they both had talked about, we call these plays to set up these other plays. But we never got to the other plays because the first plays that got called really did work. And they never ultimately set something up. But that's what you're talking about now with Holgorsen, is call these plays to set something up. But these plays also have to have some level of success for the defense to want to bite on said plays to set up something later.
Because I don't think they had a plan B. Like no coach designs a play that doesn't end up in the end zone.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
The goal every play is to get in the end zone.
They don't stop, like, hey, this is a play that's only going to run 10, we're only going to get 10 yards, so they stop right at 10. I don't think when those things failed, they had a backup to that play. So if you had a play that in your mind that you watched tape and you knew your personnel and you said, all right, this should get us 12, and it does not get executed, or there's a breakdown and your quarterback gets sacked and all of a sudden you're behind the chains. I think that's a problem over the last 2 play callers, is when you got behind the chains, what were you doing? Because all of a sudden now you're scrambling a bit. That's not on your play sheet. It didn't go, and I think the really good play callers, there's part of them that think, okay, if this play fails, what's our next one? Instead of, okay, it's gonna get us 11, it's gonna get us 12, it's gonna get us 8. But when you get behind the sticks, what do you have as a response to that play? And I think that became pretty clear in year 1 and year 2 of, okay, now we're behind, we're off schedule. What do we do?
2 plays that I have come to mind right now, and I'm going to ask you, how often do you think we see them this fall? They've been plays that I and a lot of other people have hated for the last several years. One is shotgun in short yardage situations, whether it's goal line or it's like a 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, 4th and inches, or the 3rd and long halfback draw. Those 2 plays drive me crazy because, one, you're either setting yourself up for failure by taking the ball 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage when you just have to fall forward, or 2, you're giving up on a series and not just saying, can this guy get the ball in space and make something happen? You don't have to throw it the 15 yards to try to get the first down, but at least give a guy a chance.
I don't recall seeing a plethora of those in the back half of the year when Dana took over.
Right.
So to answer your question, no.
Very low.
But there is the element of the offense, and we will not see this. And maybe we'll see this tomorrow night if you're going to the Big Red preview.
With the beverages.
Yes. Is if Dylan is a smarter runner and there is that threat, what does that do to the playbook? Mm-hmm. What does that get? Half a page? Does that get a full page on what they can do? Like, instead of I'm running because I'm forced to, he's actually a legit threat that you have to honor if you're a defensive coordinator. We won't know that until a month from now.
Like, he gets a couple calls a game.
Yeah, that are designed runs, but don't put the quarterback in harm's way.
Yeah.
Or if, bailing out early of the pocket, but being smart about it, being a smarter runner. Now, I think going to be a little bit faster. I don't think he's ever going to be a blazer. He's got those pitty-patty feet of like Mahomes does.
He does. He runs a little heavy.
But there is the element of, okay, he can run, but be a smarter runner. Mm-hmm. I would take a smarter runner than a faster runner, because we saw last year just the cognizant of, there's the sticks, this is what I got to get to, and then I got to get down instead of sliding down early. Mm-hmm. But if there is even a tinge of that in the offense this year, that Dylan is a smarter runner and that is an option, then that is a benefit. And then that opens the door to more of the discussion that you brought up about those kind of plays and erasing those from your playbook.
Well, and you might see something where that defensive end is crashing hard on any kind of a run up the middle and you're in shotgun. Well, you might just hit him with a read option and go, all right, go run for 5 yards and get down. Like, you don't have to take off. It doesn't got to look like Adrian or Taylor Martinez, Doesn't have to look like all the running quarterbacks Nebraska has had. But like you said, be a smarter runner. Take 3 yards where you can instead of either a negative play or throwing it away, because 3 yards now is better than no yards.
Well, I think that's a natural growth of playing 13 games. And also, I think an OC that's going to hold his feet to the fire.
That's what he sounded like yesterday.
Dylan hand-selected Dana as the OC. They agreed to do this for a couple of years, and Dana's going to turn out to be the best thing for Dylan, because I don't think he's going to I think honesty is the best thing with Dylan. Mm-hmm. And put a little pressure on Dylan. Dylan has pressure. There is no doubt. I mean, he has pressure for this to work, but I'm glad that his OC, I don't think his OC will treat him with kid gloves, which could be exactly what he needs. And it's probably helped all the other previous quarterbacks that Holgorsen has found a way to get them into the NFL.
I think that's a big part of this, is that someone can come in and they can be hard on you, but if you've never seen like the results that person has produced, obviously the quarterbacks and the offenses that Holgorsen has produced, it can be hard to buy in. Now, it doesn't seem like Raiola is a guy who's come to Nebraska and hasn't bought in. He didn't buy in with Satterfield, those types of things at all. But I think when you look at Holgorsen's history, his pedigree, and the guys he's worked with, and the fact that he is no nonsense, it's pretty easy to buy into that.
All right, take a quick break. We'll come back next hour. Harper Murray had a very interesting TikTok about something that happened at the Big Ten Media Days. And we'll discuss in the next hour. Caleb Henry sitting in for Matt. Matt will be back from his vacation coming up on Monday. Peter is in for Jimmy. It's Gary and Matt on 1620 The Zone. Hey, so somebody else going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame this weekend is Brent Musberger. And last night they had him on the pregame show on NBC, and then he came up in the booth and they were talking about Waterboy and Dan Fouts, and Fouts ad-libbed his lines.
Yeah.
But it was great to see Brent Musberger. I don't know that Brent Musberger, and he's no longer doing the Raiders on the radio, has his fastball to do play-by-play, but he still is with it enough that he can tell stories.
Mm-hmm.
He is the guy from the last NFL pregame show that I religiously watched, NFL Today on CBS. When he was the host of it,
mm-hmm.
that was about as good as it gets when it comes to a pregame show on the NFL. Now, they didn't have a ton of competition, but it was like the personalities they had, from Phyllis George to Jimmy the Greek to Irv Cross to Brent Musberger. It was fantastic. And seeing him last night, and then it dawned on me, after he had his falling out and left CBS, he was one of the original voices of the SEC network.
Awesome.
Because I did he do the main Saturday night game on SEC network? Was that when he finally left CBS and then ABC, and ABC took him off? They slide him over to the SEC network because he was talking about working with Maria Taylor. She was doing sidelines for the SEC network when it began.
Yeah. No, that sounds about right. Is that he was, because I don't remember watching him do a game that wasn't at night.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it felt. Like, it was always a big game.
Yeah.
Watching with him.
You are looking live.
Like those types of things. But, and not necessarily Musberger, but when you go back to kind of how the games used to be produced, when you had a couple minute like narration from Bob Costas before a game. Like, it feels like these things were built up way more theatrical.
Well, I think that's what's going to happen with the NBA on NBC. If you look at all of their preview stuff,
mm-hmm.
is they're going to go back to those big opens, like the Costas Open for an Orange Bowl.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I think of. I want more of that. I want it to, you're tuning in, and there's so many games available, but you're tuning in. I want it to feel like I'm about to sit down for a 3-hour movie, because that's ultimately, I'm going to get all of the drama, but set me up for it. Give me the storylines, give me the narration, the highlights. If the game's in Lincoln, yes, give me some shot of a sunset over a cornfield. Give me all of it.
After the Catherine Webb situation in the national championship game, the next year he was banished to the SEC network. Him and Jesse Palmer and Maria Taylor were the crew in 2014 on the SEC network. And he hasn't been the radio voice of the Raiders since 21.
Is he still doing stuff with Vegas?
Yes.
In the betting?
And he dropped in a gambling reference last night at the end of his interview with Maria Taylor. But he'll be going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We got the Pete Rozelle Radio Television Award. Nice. And he is, how old is Musberger? He's 86. Brent Musberger is 86 years old and has never been back to Lincoln after he got an open container violation. All right. When we come back, and a different tone and a different discussion, something weird, creepy happened to Harper Murray.
Gross.
Yeah. She has spoken about it. It's not just a Harper Murray thing. We'll discuss when we return after the break. It's Gary and Matt with Caleb Henry sitting in for Matt on 1620 The Zone. All right, this email talking about Brent Musberger. So if you do not know the story, back in 2005, when Nebraska and Pittsburgh played in Lincoln, Musberger was doing the game for ABC. And shortly after the game got over, Musberger got ticketed $144.
$144.
Got ticketed for consuming alcohol in a motor vehicle. Small world, great listening audience. Chris writes in, my ex-brother-in-law was the cop that pulled him over. He said he's told the story. He noticed them about a block from the stadium, and Musberger was drinking. It clearly was alcohol, and doing his job, he pulled him over. Musberger was not the driver, but he was a passenger in the vehicle. I don't know. I would tell people that because Musberger, took some cracks at Nebraska after that.
Oh yeah,
and
it was personal for him,
and never came back to Lincoln.
$50 for the open container, $50 for drinking from it, $44 in court costs because he paid instead of coming back for the trial. He said, "I'm gonna pay this. You guys are getting a check. I will not step foot back in Lincoln."
And now inside of that stadium tomorrow night, you can drink.
Yes.
You don't have to sneak stuff
Full
in.
circle.
You don't have to sneak stuff in. There will people still be sneaking some stuff in because you don't have money to pay. And I've not seen any of the prices for beer. But there'll be people still sneak stuff in. But now, I mean, you can come to Memorial Stadium and drink.
Mm-hmm.
This is how less a story this has become from my perspective. And they've had it at PBA and Haymarket Park, is when this was announced the other day, I was like, okay.
Yeah, I went, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because we knew it was coming, and we knew they were working with the new food and beverage provider to get everything all set up and ready. But it is interesting that the debut for a football activity is the practice. And I get it. They want to have a practice run too. Does all of this work here? But also, this isn't like the first stadium they've set this up in.
No. Don writes in, he goes, they should invite Brent back to Lincoln, have him stand at the 50 during halftime and chug a beer he purchased from the concession stand.
Just going to shotgun a Busch Light. Hall of Famer.
We told you about this incident with Harper Murray. Last week, Nebraska volleyball was in Chicago at the Big Ten Media Days. And Harper Murray went early, ahead of the contingent from Nebraska, went early to visit friends in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
She has a story to tell, and she first shared this on her TikTok. And the first I heard of it was last night. So this is what happened. And Peter, you can chime in when I'm done telling this story, because you brought up a point that adds to the story that I'm about to explain. So Harper Murray went to Chicago a few days ahead of her teammates for Big Ten Media Days. When she got to Chicago, there were two men that were waiting for her. They had photos of Harper Murray that they wanted signed, and then they asked for multiple selfies with her. Harper goes on to say that, and anybody that follows, really anybody on the Nebraska volleyball team, they're very active on social media. They share a lot of their life. Maybe not a ton of stuff, but they kind of give you behind the scenes of what it's like to be a volleyball player in Nebraska and, all the things that go into it. But they're very active on social media. And Harper is one of those. I mean, you could follow her all summer, and she regularly posts. And she said that I did not post that I would be in Chicago 3 days earlier than I was supposed to be. My flight was actually delayed out of Lincoln by 5 hours. When I was signing the photos, could she have just said no?
So
she was probably by herself.
And that's the part. So for me initially, and again, I'm viewing this through the lens of a 6'3", 202 much pounds, 34-year-old man. I'm viewing it through the lens of just say no and leave or something. But through the lens of a 20-year-old woman, and there's 2 strange men waiting for you, I understand the fear and the just sign this and get out of here. I absolutely understand that, and I think that's more of where she was.
So this is where it kind of gets creepy. Now, it's creepy to begin with. Harper goes on to say, when I was signing the photos, the 2 men apologized for me having a bad travel day and how much of a horrible delay it was. They knew my exact flight number, which is a little weird. She then goes on to say, of course, I ended up signing the pictures and taking the pictures because I didn't know what else to do. I was scared. She said she spoke to Livy Dunn, who has had something like this happen as well. They have no idea how these men know what flight they're on, but we do know that it's happened to Gabby Thomas at the Chicago airport as well.
And to all of them just at the Chicago airport.
So Harper finishes her video on TikTok by saying, if you're one of the guys that asked me to sign a photo, you're weird. Stop stalking me. There was somebody that just got sentenced to prison that was stalking Caitlin Clark. So I was telling this story to both of you guys off air. And you brought something up, Peter, that this happens to professional wrestlers.
Very common. And they are traveling pretty consistently because they do weekly shows year round, and constantly landing. And I don't know all the ins and outs of how they do travel within that industry and how they book certain flights. I know that a lot of them travel in like little groups usually, but they're pretty consistently greeted by these people that have just tons of memorabilia and photos
at the airport,
at the gates, as soon as they get off the plane. It's very strange. I don't know how really to put a stop to something like that exactly, but clearly some info is getting out from someone that shouldn't be sharing details like this with the public.
So if that's the case, somebody at the airport or airline has access to the manifest of the flight, of who's on the flight, that they share those details with the collectors or creepy men that confronted Harper Murray in Chicago.
They're getting access to here's who is on this flight. This is what the flight is, and this is when it's getting here.
So it's either the airport, somebody that works at this, and I'm not sure if this is Midway or O'Hare, that works at the airport or works for the airline. I don't know if you work at O'Hare, unless you're like on the ground crew, would you have access to the manifest of who's on that flight? Because this is kind of scary, almost to the point, and we saw after the incident with Wisconsin where the pictures were released on, to the public, that they got hacked. Wisconsin travels with a police officer, Wisconsin, a University of Wisconsin, Madison police officer who does not leave, you see in college football, we see more often the traveling state trooper, or Nebraska has, most times they're in street clothes, but it'll be who the chief of police is for the campus police, and they are with rule at all times. And they kind of blend in on the sidelines. Where in the South, that's part of the South, you see the state trooper who will run on the field with the coach, who will be right there by their side. For the longest time, I remember when I was a kid, Iowa, Hayden Fry had an Iowa state trooper who was his personal security. I don't know this. Nebraska volleyball does not travel with their own security, do they?
I don't believe, but also I don't think they're flying. Like they're taking the private plane, aren't
but
they?
now I'm looking once they're on the ground.
Oh yeah, once they're on the ground.
Okay, because this is really, really creepy.
Oh, for sure.
Okay,
that is the one thing. Like within all of this, you can try to find where exactly are they getting it? What are the processes they're going through? But at the end of the day, it's creepy and gross. It's disgusting, and people should not be doing it. And you shouldn't have to be worrying about, no matter how famous or the face of a program you are, or attractive or anything like that. You shouldn't have to, at the end of the day, worry about, am I traveling with enough security to go visit friends in another city?
Pat, whose daughter recently completed her eligibility at Nebraska playing volleyball, said yes, they do travel with security.
Good.
That's good.
But she said, she was going out a little bit early. So that's
by
not
herself.
So that's not the main travel party.
JD says, as a veteran of working for an airline, he no longer works for it. Any airline employee, regardless of location, can log in and see the passenger list of every flight they work for.
That seems like the likeliest.
So this is an inside
scenario.
job with young female athletes and collectors.
I'm sure there's some sort of payment going on, like, hey, give me this info and I'll.
But let's think about this. This is where this is really, really odd and kind of scary. Is if she didn't let anybody know that I'm going early to Chicago, was she flagged by this person of, hey, we're looking to get Harper Murray's autograph? Because did Nebraska fly privately to Chicago for the Big Ten Media Days, or did they fly commercial?
They probably flew privately.
That's what I would think.
But she probably flew commercial to get there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Played on her own dime.
Yeah. So you probably have, they're running every single list of passengers through AI to see what flags. And they probably have a master list of, here are the people we want to corner and get autographs from.
So Harper Murray has a stalker. That's
easily. That's it. Yeah.
That's stalking.
Couple of tweets here. Brian, who is in the wrestling business, we even get stalked sometimes on the independent level, but it happens in WWE more than we know. It's disturbing.
Yeah, it's.
Why are wrestlers flying commercial?
I've always wondered. I could research it and look into it more, but I've never understood the travel dynamics of it. But they are flying commercial to all these shows, and nobody really flies on the same schedule. But maybe they need to start getting something in-house to avoid this stuff.
Andrew says if it keeps happening in Chicago, it'd have to be a worker at the airline. Shouldn't be too hard to figure out if they do an investigation.
Well, and I think they should. It's happened to, not just the fact that it's happening to anybody. Like that alone is creepy and gross. But you have people who are very high profile talking about this happening to them. When those things happen, that tends to speed up a process. Has a process even begun in Chicago at whichever airport it is with whatever airline it is? That should be happening yesterday, not coming up.
But no incident happened other than this is really, really odd. Yeah, I don't know if as a young female by yourself, you just let me just sign, I'll take pictures. You two are really odd and creepy, and we're just going to keep it moving.
Well, that's for Harper, it's immediately, I'm going to sign these and just try to get out of here.
Well, I hope this, because it's now, she's mentioned she's the third different female, fairly high profile athlete, because Harper Murray is well known.
Yeah.
That has had this happen in Chicago. Yeah, I think it's time to start looking into this.
Yeah.
Because maybe these guys were harmless and they are collectors, which is still 50 pictures of what the hell?
Yeah,
is there a Harper Murray market?
I couldn't remember. So she said it was like 50 something photos in the video. Yeah, so she would have had to like stand there and interact and sign 50 photos. That was probably like multiple minutes of having to be around these guys. Like that's just so weird.
I can get a whole, like, you go to eBay, you can get a whole bunch of Harper Murray stuff for under $10. There's a card that she signed that's for $130. Like you go through and I guess if there are a couple of things that are signed that are over 100, is that where they think that's their golden ticket?
Yeah,
Is cornering young women and getting their autograph?
Look up Livy Dunn. What's the price on a Livy Dunn signed photo?
She commented on the TikTok because
Livy Dunn did.
Yeah, she did. So she saw it and has had that same thing happen.
Livy Dunn signed Sports Illustrated magazine swimsuit edition, 150. 125 signed for her in as the LSU gymnastics outfit. A signed baseball for 150. Signed picture for 100. There's a $300 signed photo, $265 signed photo. Yeah, that's.
Well, have you guys ever flown into LAX?
No,
I have not.
So at LAX, they have, and it's not just TMZ, but they have a bunch of like freelance journalists with a camera that will wait for celebrities to land that are flying commercial, and they'll wait right by baggage claim. So that's where you get a lot of the in your face asking them questions. There you see, if you land at LAX and you go to the baggage claim, you'll probably see 4 or 5. Now, if you also, let's say Sunset Boulevard, you can always tell because the paparazzi will be hanging out in a certain spot, or they start on one end of Sunset Boulevard waiting for the celebrities to come. And that's where the TMZ stuff all comes from. But I guess at O'Hara Midway. Steve
creepy
says,
and gross.
Way back in the day, I flew multiple flights with Edge of WWE. I'm fairly certain he thought I was stalking him, but we just happened to be booked on the same flights. Like, there's no way that the top level WWE guys fly commercial. Like Cena, Cena doesn't do a show at the Chai, and the next morning I'm on a 6 a.m. flight with him to Detroit.
So Jeff on YouTube says the wrestlers make their own travel arrangements on their own dime.
What?
So that's why many fly commercial.
Wow.
The own dime really surprises me. Like the company, if they fly commercial, if that's what they want to do, go for it. But the company can't like help them arrange stuff and then pay for it. Like they got to pay. Like that's bizarre to me.
Professional wrestling doesn't have their own Caitlin Clark to get them all private planes yet.
Which seems wild considering how big a business WWE is. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. Lots of people have flown with wrestlers. It seems in our listening audience. Coming up at the top of the hour, Mike Schaefer will stop by. Matt Verzal as well. On the final day of the week, on the first day of August, football is here on 1620 The Zone. All right, so sticking with the wrestlers have to pay for their own travel, professional wrestlers, the Outrunners. That's right. I was just reminded by somebody that, they were involved in AEW and Omaha men's basketball and the whole trash can stuff. One of them lives in Orlando. One of them lives in Minneapolis. And they were supposed to do something with Omaha, and one couldn't get a flight out of Minneapolis. So that's get in your car and drive. It's 5 hours. Nice drive.
I just made that
straight south out of the cities. Hit Des Moines, 2 hours. Boom, you're in Omaha. Yeah, not that hard.
It's also not there are some terrible drives. That's not a terrible drive.
No,
I'm a little bit being sarcastic here about it.
Western Iowa is kind of awful, but like on where that drive is.
Okay, so you're like Harper. We had this discussion on a crossover. The worst parts to drive in, stretches, and he contends that Des Moines to Omaha, that 2 hours is the worst stretch.
It's a pretty awful stretch. Because I just did that. I was in Des Moines for a wedding.
Doesn't do anything for you?
I enjoy the trip going out on I-80 and then going up to like Laramie. I enjoy that a lot more than that 2 hours between Omaha and Des Moines. It's awful.
I unapologetically, when we drive by wind turbines, look at it like I'm a dog riding in the car for the first time. I'm always amazed at wind turbines when they're up close next to the car.
I've made that trip so many times in my lifetime. It just is, I don't really pay attention. Just I know I got now an hour and about, I can do it in about an hour 45 from Des Moines to here or vice versa. That I've made that trip so many times, whether Des Moines to Omaha, Des Moines to Lincoln, that I don't even think twice. I think that stretch, if you're going to the Twin Cities, I think the stretch once you get kind of north, once you get to Ames, from Ames all the way up to about Albert Lee, and I'm not even talking about stopping in Mason City, that's the worst. That stretch.
There is kind of nothing.
I drove home the first semester in college when I was at the University of Minnesota. I drove home late one night, and I don't remember driving that stretch at all.
Because it just, your brain shuts off.
I think I fell asleep. I was driving by myself.
Also, that could happen. Jeez.
I do not remember. There was one of the first time I came back home when I was in college. I don't remember driving from about Waseca, which if you're familiar with 35 up as you're headed to the Twin Cities, it's south of the Twin Cities. From about Waseca to the Ankeny exit, I don't remember anything about that drive.
That's bonkers.
Now, the drive if you're driving from here to Chicago, once you get on the other side of the Mississippi, once you go through the Quad Cities, I think is a grind. I'm like, oh. Also, when you hit the Colorado-Nebraska border and you're thinking, all right, Denver's not very far away.
We're almost to the mountains.
Yeah, that's not true. That's a miserable drive. Well, once you get past, I will say like Kearney, Wood River, that stretch, then it gets a little light out there. Oh, by the way, hey, there's North Platte. But when you hit the Nebraska-Colorado border and you're headed to Denver, you're like, okay, we're almost there. No. And then there is nothing out there. Nothing unless you stop in Sterling. And there still is nothing in Sterling.
You're right. I would put that stretch in Colorado worse than Omaha to Des Moines. Now, a fun stretch of road, if you're going just only a couple hours, between Columbia and Kansas City. Because there is and maybe this is me more.
That is the Autobahn for semis.
that stretch for a college kid driving back and forth, because there is a point in there where it is almost straight downhill. And yeah, I'm rocking a 01 Pontiac Sunfire coupe. No, let's just keep going on the gas while we're going downhill. Not advised at all, but for 19, 20-year-old Caleb, it was pretty sweet. Let's see what this baby can do. That's also the stretch of road where I'm pretty sure I had the cruise control on 90 and I got passed by a cop. The cops did not care.
By the way, speaking of cops, I saw Douglas County sheriffs were doing radar on Pacific, like between 74th and 80th the other day. I thought that's interesting that they're inside of kind of the city doing radar. The time of driving between Columbia and Kansas City, that is where the semis. Like semis it's hammered down. The other stretch, which I make a lot because of doing stuff in the Summit League, once from Omaha to Sioux City on 29 is, but then once you get north of Sioux City until you get to Sioux Falls, and then once you get north of Brookings, Watertown, all the way to Fargo.
So I had done the trip when I worked with NRG in Lincoln. I did the fishing trip up at Ballard.
Oh, that's it, right. We heard you advertising on that. You could go on a trip with you to go fishing.
That bus from Lincoln,
was it packed?
Yeah, full. That bus from Lincoln, you go up to Fargo, and then you go east.
Okay.
That sucked. That is now. I
Not
think
a lot out there.
I think if I was
Fargo.
I think if I was driving myself, it wouldn't be so bad. But the fact that I've only done that full trip in a bus, that's a tough stretch. That's tough.
Steve says US 24 from Colorado Springs to Lyman, Colorado. Just drove it twice in the last week. That was horrible. I mean, nowadays, like in driving Colorado, whether you drive from Denver to Boulder, I mean, it doesn't feel like that's a scenic drive. Or you're going north or south out of Denver to the Springs or to Fort Collins. Well, they're growing into each other. Don says timing of the drive to Des Moines matters. If you leave Omaha in the morning and come back in the evening, staring at the sun isn't fun, especially in the spring, fall when the sun is lower than normal. So I'm glad you brought that up because you and Harper shaking hands here. Harper's made that drive this morning because he's going to Dubuque. But he hates the 2 hours between here and Des Moines.
Yeah, the 2 hours between here and Des Moines, not great. I will say they are better than the 2 hours going east of Des Moines.
Any boring part of the trip to Kansas City on 29?
I feel like that drive's not too bad.
No. There's enough to see once you you hit Kansas City, got Rockport, boom, you're not, well, maybe Rockport to St. Joe's.
Yeah, scenic St. Joe's.
I do like St. Joe's.
Why?
I don't know. It's just
I just always felt like that was, because for me, that was the stop. It wasn't whatever quick trip that Connor keeps talking
about. I love to stop in Mound City, halfway to KC.
Home of Tony Osborne. Platte City. A Platte City QT, which will be just packed a month from now.
That was always the stretch also coming home. It was when you're about to get out of Missouri, make sure you pick up fireworks coming back into Nebraska.
Well, fireworks, weed, and Yingling. That's what that stretch of Missouri is known for. Here is Steve on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone. It is. It's a great stretch.
I love your conversation. I grew up in Dubuque, Gary. You know how far our drive is from here to Dubuque?
Yeah.
And I love Iowa. So what do you got against Urbandale, man? I love that town.
What do I have against Urbandale? I love Urbandale. No, Urbandale is great. Urbandale has been so kind to put my name on the water tower.
I thought the street name now is that stretch there off of I-80 is very sharp.
If you go on the back side of the water tower that everybody passes. Yeah,
I saw that.
I thought it was on the back side of the first outhouse you can see there.
Oh no, we don't have hey, we're bougie suburb. We do not have outhouses in Urbandale. Yeah.
Hey, go Jayhawks. Love you guys.
Hey, thanks.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you, Steve. The drive to Dubuque is not like you just can't stay on 80. You got to go off a little bit. Okay. All right. Welcome to Friday. It's football season. I know you want football content. You get Mike Schaefer coming up here in a little bit. When we come back, there was a comment from Hogo about his RB2 that was kind of interesting, and him and his relationship with Mekhi Nelson.
Yes.
Who best all-around running back in the backfield? We'll discuss. Emmett is number 1. How big is the gap between 1 and 2? What will it look like in a month? We'll do that when we return. It's Gary and Matt, Caleb and Peter in today for Jimmy and Matt, who are away on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome in. It's football month, and it feels like football outside. Weather is fantastic for the first day of August. Mike Schaefer will join us tomorrow. Tomorrow, he'll join us coming up.
Special Saturday show.
Yes, coming up here in just a little bit. So part of the discussion yesterday in Lincoln with the offensive coordinator and his wide receiver coach, it looks like he could still go out and get you 10 if you needed 10 on 3rd and long in the Kale Shorts. Is they talked about running backs, and the whole Mekhi Nelson thing is not, hey, he just burst onto the scene and he's a trendy guy. He's going to be a guy that will have an important role on Nebraska's offense this year at running back. How Emmett Johnson is the opening day starter, and if Emmett does Emmett things, he's the starter for all 12 regular season games.
Yes.
But I wonder how big a gap there is between running back 1 and running back 2, because I think it goes Johnson, Nelson, Mosey.
Yes, I agree with that, because right now we had talked about Quentin Ives earlier this week, and it was one, he didn't show anything special with his opportunities last year, but also you're hurt now. So how far into camp are you losing ground on these other guys? And also, Mosey wouldn't have switched over if they didn't need him to do so.
So
it wasn't a wide receiver depth; it was a running back depth.
So hold that thought real quick. To listen to his former position coach explain, because we were told that Mosey approached the staff and said, "I want to play running back."
Yeah, Shorts was asked about this.
Shorts made it sound like they took him from him to put him at running back.
Yeah, Shorts didn't want this to happen. Shorts wanted him in his room.
So are we getting more insight to how they look at their running back room? You're not able, so you don't get anybody in the first go around in the portal. Then you don't get Marty Brown. They say, hey, we got to have a guy because we don't like what we have behind Emmett. Because it was kind of, we thought it was Mosey made the decision, approached them first, made it sound like yesterday, hey, I like this guy. I mean, man, I want him catching passes for me. And yet they kind of took him from me.
Well, and you also have, remember, they wanted to get ways for guys to get touches. So Barney got some runs last year. Janiron Bonner is going to get carries out of the backfield, plus Emmett Johnson. Plus, you have bodies there with Quentin Ives, and he hasn't been, obviously he's been hurt, but he hasn't been talked about as much as Nelson has. So I think that this coaching staff looked at that running back room and said, we need somebody there. And Holgerson was talking yesterday, and when he was talking about the wide receiver room, obviously he talked highly of Nelson and said Mosey's coming, will be good. Not there yet because he still has to, do more with the position. But he said, when you get through the season, it's not just about your number one. You have at some point are going to get to 2 and 3 and 4, and it's not just in blowout situations. It's not just in garbage time. So when they looked at that room, they obviously said, we need another guy to get here who's an athlete who can come over and help us. Shorts didn't want him to go. It clearly came down to Holgerson and Rule saying this is what's going to happen. And Mosey at 3 makes sense. Nelson at 2, likely. I think it is when you're looking
I would Sharpie that. I would Sharpie the top 2 running backs.
When you are that, but what is the gap between 1 and 2? I think it's significant right now. It's not 2 could overtake 1 over the course of the season. Barring injury, you are solidified with that 1, and it's not close.
There's another name when Shorts was speaking, and I don't know, he'll be here as long as Dana will be. Because he feels like a guy that if Dana wants to coach again as a head coach,
he'd go with him.
He's getting him, and he's taking him with him.
Yeah.
That is a big-time up-and-comer at that position. A young guy who you can just tell has a different vibe.
Is that the way everyone wanted us to feel about McGuire?
No, McGuire was really, really young, though.
No. I know,
Yeah.
really, really young, but up and comer. That's a guy who's going to be somebody. But still, he was like, what, 24?
23.
23? Yeah.
Maybe to a lesser extent. Shorts has a little bit more experience.
But Shorts has more of it. He's a couple years down the road.
And I think he carries himself with a lot of confidence. And, there's a bunch of divas that play wide receiver. And I think they have to have a strong position coach in that room that maybe at one time was a diva.
Yeah.
And then got, kicked in the butt.
Got humbled and understands what it takes.
But was there another name missing? Because I was trying to, okay, I'm waiting to hear ding, 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 Nelson. Ding, 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 ding. Was Hunter's name mentioned at all yesterday?
I don't remember hearing it.
Key and Barney put him in Sharpie. I don't know that Hunter's name got mentioned yesterday, or it got mentioned in a roundabout way when Shorts was talking about the physicality that they need on offense with their wide receivers.
Just kind of a quick and passing.
Which is kind of supposed to be the staple of Hunter. His name was missing. Does that mean that the door has opened for Mills to be one of the top 3 wide receivers?
I don't know because you're top 3 right now.
Well, you're top 2.
Well, yeah, you're top. Well, because he's supposed to be a top 2. He was brought in to be a top 2 with Key.
Key and Barney are top 2 wide receivers right now.
Yeah.
Hunter is supposed to be that guy, but your wide receiver coach spoke, and I don't recall him mentioning him.
Well, and the 2 wideouts that we got yesterday were Barney and Bonner.
No one would be surprised if Mills was on the field a month from now on the opening series. That's how it's supposed to work. If you're going to recruit a guy that was that good in high school and comes that acclaimed, they need to find their way onto the field.
But I think what can help with that, because there's a lot of guys who are going to want touches, but it's what you were talking about earlier this morning, the dinking and the dunking.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting the ball out more. It's not these plays you're trying to get 20 every time. It's nice if you do, but if you're doing the dink and dunk and you got to spread that around and they start to key in, no pun intended, they key in on Key or Barney. And then, okay, that does open up room for Hunter if he's not slipping down the depth chart, but that opens up space for guys like Mills. I think it's helpful overall to your offense, but there's a lot of mouths to feed, and you have an offensive coordinator who's used to trying to do that a lot through the passing game. And I know it's not the old air raid that he's done, but Emmett Johnson's going to need those touches out of the backfield too. And clearly at running back, they want to get a couple more guys in than just that top guy. It was interesting to not hear kind of a focus on Isaiah Hunter.
Well, we'll see if anything else piqued the interest of Mike Schaefer, who was there yesterday. Again, Big Ten Network is in town today. Nebraska's got pads on. So that's coming up tonight. And then tomorrow, we get our first look at everybody in the open practice of the Big Red Preview on the heels of Fan Day. So it'll be a busy day in Lincoln tomorrow. Mike Schaefer will join us. Matt Verzal in the last hour. Gary and Matt with Caleb Henry sitting in this morning on 1620 The Zone.